How you doing? Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people in. Just a quick reminder to everyone, our 6-part battle plan is now live. And so if you are working in your own life to get yourself where you want to be, to level up, let the plan help you. It's pretty simple. It's pretty clear. It's pretty fun. It's totally awesome. warriorsaints.org. This week we started talking about or in the middle of the week we started talking about things don't happen to you, things happen because of you. And we want to take complete ownership of everything in our life. And we don't want to leave anything to chance. We want to be in control, and not radically like abusive control. I mean, obviously God is in control of all things, but we do have a say of what happens in our life. And when things happen, we talked about yesterday, when things happen to us, the tendency is to want to blame it elsewhere, to push it off. We saw how Adam blamed God for giving him the woman, and Eve blamed the snake when they ate of the forbidden fruit and disobeyed God's commandments, and then they were cast out, and how could he do this to us? That whole thing, taking responsibility for your actions. In contrast, we see in 2 Samuel a totally different story. Now, to set it up, the king is at the time David. He's the second king of Israel, and he falls in love, or at least has, he's sexually inflamed, let's say, for his buddy Uriah's wife. And he sends, he takes her, lays with her, she becomes pregnant, and in order to get out of it, through a series of just debaucherous things, he sends Uriah to his death on the battle. And the prophet Nathan comes to him and says, look, I want to tell you a story. There was a man who had one lamb, just a sweet ewe, and he loved this lamb. There was another rich man who had a gazillion lambs, and he decided to take that lamb away from the one man and put him to death. And he's talking, hyperbolically or metaphorically about David and his actions with Uriah's wife Bathsheba. Unknowing that, David gets angry and he says, that guy, we got to put him to death. Like, this cannot happen. This is unjust. And then Nathan says, boom, that's you, David. And David does something funny. Now, if you read the stories in 1 and 2 Samuel, he's a wreck, right? Like, we call him the king and the prophet, but he did a lot of bad things. In this moment, however, David does exactly what Adam didn't. He took responsibility for it. And once Nathan calls him out, he says, I have sinned against the Lord, right? So he owns it. Like, okay, Nathan, you got me. I did this wicked thing. I then went even further with the death of my friend, and then I tried to get out of it. But when he's called out, he owned it. He took responsibility. And that message for us is really important, because as warrior saints, as we're trying to own all things in our lives and be responsible, trying to help push ourselves forward in a good way, we cannot let anything escape us and escape our control. Again, understand what I mean by that. We're not trying to control other people. We're not trying to be, remove God and his providence from the situation. Absolutely not. But what we are trying to say is that we have a say in the decisions we make, in the choices we make, the things we do, the actions that we take. And we can either, when it goes awry or we make mistakes, which invariably we all do, we can try to push it off like Adam and Eve did, or we can be repentant and own it like David did. Now, the good thing about owning it, when you do that, you are now back in control. You can fix it. You can go to the one you hurt, and in this case, Uriah, he can't go back. But, David, could have gone to make peace, make amends, right? You and I can do that very same thing. If we make a blunder or a mistake, own it. Don't try to push it off. When you push it off, you relinquish control for the outcome. And your owning it may have some negative consequences. It often does. But in those moments, you learn how to overcome. You learn how to become the best man and the best woman that you can be. And that's really it's like foundational for being a warrior saint, is to say, I want to take control of everything in my life. Now, I wrote in my book here, I have a chapter on owning it. We call it responsibility. I also have 2 chapters on control and control on a team, right? Like, how do you take control? And in these chapters, you learn, hopefully, if I did my job, you learn some tools, some actual, practical, implementable tools in order to really help yourself own it. You can find the book at warriorsaints.org. You can also find it on Amazon. You also, and this is why I keep talking about this battle plan, In it, we're trying to get the whole man right, the whole woman right. We want to get ourselves right. And to do that, one of the things that is essential is responsibility. And we teach you in this battle plan, as you wage war within, trying to become the best that you can, exceptional human beings, there are times where we come across the temptation like Adam and Eve to push, or David to accept. We're going to give you some tools on how to do that. And it's really very, very simple. I mean, it's often very, very hard, but the decisions that we have to make, the steps that we have to take, it's pretty simple. We lay it all out for you. And look, if you really want to find yourself, with the actual implementable steps, it's pretty simple, guys. It's pretty simple, girls. It's time. Way of the Warrior Saint. Join us here. Get on the way with us. There are 2 steps. Learn the Word of God so you can live the Word of God. Understanding the Bible, 6-part battle plan. It's up to you. The choice is yours. We have a new warrior saint with us, Molly. Glad to have you with us, lovely lady. God bless and keep all y'alls. We're going to be back tomorrow to talk about when things happen to us that is not our fault and we had no control over. How do we move forward? As always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.